today we are doing an exercise in our sketchbook called the continuous skyline. So for this, we want to turn our sketchbook so that the wire is on top so our hand won't bump into it. And today we're going to use either a thin Sharpie, so you should have one in your box. If you don't have one, then just a black pen is fine. So you can tell that this is going to be permanent. If you have like another piece of paper, it'd be good to put it under your sketchbook paper that we're working on so it doesn't bleed through to the other pages. So you really want to dedicate a whole page to this, not like just the back of something, because it will bleed through. All right, so our title for this is Continuous Skyline, and we're going to do the date. So we're going to base this on the photo that you see below. So a skyline, if I get rid of this photo, is going to look like this. It's if you imagine the sunset and you see the skyline, that's the silhouette of all the buildings. We're gonna treat this kind of like that. So we're gonna get the tops of all of our bottles, and I've added some like plants, so some flowers, to kind of simulate trees and other organic objects that aren't just fruits, because those tend not to be that tall. So when we do a continuous line drawing in general, that means that we're not taking our hands off the paper. This one is extra simplified because we're only going to get the tops of everything. Again, you see that green line appearing there. So I'm going to show you ways that this goes well and ways that this goes less well. So first, let's start with this bad sample that I have for you. So in this sample here, you can see that like the objects are a little bit too simplified, so they were just trying to get this done. So these beautiful flowers that have all these intricate little details becomes this giant cloud. That's no good. These bottles, I can't tell what they are. They kind of look like fingers, maybe someone like pointing to the sky, but they don't look like bottles. So I really want you to go slowly and carefully to draw, starting from left to right, or right to left if you prefer. And I want you to try and draw this as best as you can. So a good sample, if I bring this up, a good sample doesn't necessarily look like a tracing, but it does look based off of what's in front of it. So I can tell that the first thing is an apple. Maybe it's too close to the next object, but I can tell that they thought about it. So the bottles look like bottles. The plants, you can see that they don't look like kindergarten clouds, but they look like they carefully thought about where those shapes, where all those petals were going to be. And that's good. So as soon as you get off the page, you're fine. Try to get a good number of objects in there, so try to draw small enough that you can get the most objects in. I'm going to quickly give you another sample of me drawing. It works a little bit differently on my iPad, so you'll see me kind of go at this fast. So there's like an apple, and here's me attempting to draw the plant. So you can see again that I'm trying really hard to get in all those details, and I'm really looking at them. You don't want to stay in one place too long, and that's why we're using your Sharpies, because if you use your Sharpie, usually if you get stuck in a place, I can kind of tell because it leaves a little mark like that. You don't need to go back and forth like this, right? But I really want your lines to be as smooth as possible. Work on your kind of confidence. And if you mess up, that's okay. It's like we're not going to look back. We're just going to keep going and going and going. So if you accidentally lift your hand up, then that's totally fine, and you can just keep going. Again, we're really looking for just the very tops of things. So I don't need the bottom of my bottle. I just want the very top of it, and then I'll skip around to the next part, into the next part, into the next part. So as soon as I run out of paper, so let's say my paper is here, I'm definitely not going to finish, and that's completely fine. That just kind of happens. But I will do my best to not cram things in. So I'm not going to try to squish everything in at the last minute. Just work with the size that you have and do your best. So you can work off of this photo here at the bottom. Again, if I put my green lines, it might be easier for you to see that and concentrate on that. And again, go either left to right or right to left. Just go marching across your paper as smoothly but as carefully as possible.